All right, welcome in Hanna Time. Cornelius, Brad, Hanna. Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Coming to you live from the GSBN studios. Show is sponsored by P2P Tickets, or P2P Ticks, right here. Get your tickets safe and secure, guaranteed money back, person-to-person tickets. When you want to go to a game or to a concert or a big show, and you want to sell your tickets off or buy tickets, go to P2P Ticks. Look it up on the Apple app, find it on the store, and download it. P2P Ticks. Okay, now, as we are going to catch you up on Thursday Night Football, the Giants and 49ers, we're going to get all broken down with the NFL this weekend and some college football right here on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. This is going to be 30 seconds. Let's do it again. Yeah, 30. 1, 2, 3, go. Welcome back to Hanna Time. Friday morning on a big late September football week 3 and college football. We're going to talk about some things. I got a lot to talk about, a variety of things around the NFL, the quarterbacks, the young quarterbacks. Why does Justin Field get all this love? Everybody's having him elite. It's just ridiculous stuff you've been hearing, and it's all slapping back in their faces, basically. And the ones that have been saying it have been just trying to cover up a little bit. I think it's hilarious when I watch it. But big game last night between two teams that had all the making in the preseason to be a big heavyweight fight, football-wise. But the 49ers are the most consistent team starting off the NFL football season. They're the best team because they're most consistent. They have a lot of talent, yes. But the New York Giants have a lot of talent, but they missed 2 key players last night. And Thomas, the offensive tackle, which in my words, maybe the best offensive tackle in the NFL, and then Saquon Barkley. So they missed some parts. The final score, well, it was like 30-13. They took care of business, the 49ers, but it was a lot closer in a way of the score. But for some reason, it was just a one-score game for a lot of time. Sometimes it got to double digit and went back down to a single digit, and the Giants hung around. They played tough for what they had, and they were up against a lot. A short week on the road for consecutive games in a row, right? And the Giants are finding themselves. They found themselves last week. They showed it last night. They showed how they were able to play some Giant football, but they're up against a superior team right now. Now, let's check on the 49ers for a second here, too. Yes, you are impressed. Yes, they are out ahead and the gates are open and they're out and running. But it's the NFL, it's a long season, and I started seeing things last week against the Rams, and I saw something last night against the Giants too. Brock Purdy is not on time with his throw still. He's still a little bit, he's off. I would say Purdy was not sharp for the second week in a row. All right, so we got to keep an eye on that. He has a running game, which saves him a lot. And they run block very well in San Francisco. It's a great setup, great scheme. They do a lot of pulling guards and tackles, and they, trap blocking, a lot of it. And there's a lot of holes right up the middle, off guard, things like that. They don't really go outside a whole lot, right? Everything's in between tackles, and they do a really good job of that. And you got to have a great interior, and the Giants do have a good interior. And the Giants held down. The big problem last night with the Giants was third down. The 49ers tore them up on that. But it wasn't like impressive with Brock Purdy, doing everything he could and getting first downs. It was penalties too. The Giants hurt themselves, right? And maybe some of those calls were not necessary, and the refs kind of got a little happy there with some yellow flags going around. But at the same time, the Niners were able to benefit from the penalties of the Giants. So One team was not disciplined, the other team was, or because the Niners didn't have a whole lot. Niners didn't even turn the ball over. Okay. But when I saw things like that developing and coming through, I said to myself, the 49ers, a good team. You can't make a whole lot of mistakes because they're that good. But the teams in the NFL that are good, they're going to battle and they're going to beat the 49ers. And then this is a team that's built for the preseason. I mean, for the regular season and preseason for some teams, but for the regular season. Are they built for the Super Bowl run? Sure, they have things in place. But the other teams are going to be coming. Now, it is the NFC, and we're not impressed what's the preseason, preview of the conference itself. So the Niners, in my eyes, have a great opportunity to get very far into the playoffs, but it's going to get tougher. The teams in playoffs play good ball, right? And it's more physical. It's a different game, but they should have enough. Yes, you can almost start to see them getting to the Super Bowl, but I warn you, a defense like the Giants showed last night. Wasn't like impressive Giant defense. They got a lot of growth still, but they're coming into their own. They're finally getting back to where they were a year ago, the Giants, when they had played some great defense. But you can see a week ago against the Rams, the same thing. Close game, tough battle, but the Rams didn't have enough. The Giants didn't have enough, okay? Giants will find themselves. When they get healthier again, they're going to find themselves. They're going to make a run for something here, right? Don't count them out. I think it's foolish for the jokes that you've been throwing at the Giants. Very foolish. They'll be there in the end, or very close to it if not, but they're going to be one of those teams trying for that playoff spot, okay? And don't even count out the division. Yes, there's a lot of people just jumping on stuff so early. Again, it's September. Wake me up when it ends, okay? Wake me up when it ends. Now, I'm going to run through some things last night with the 49ers and the Giant game. Giants, they missed a lot of interceptions last night. Brock Purdy put up a lot of balls in the air that were not well thrown. The Giants were around the ball. They're almost like colliding into each other, and they fizzed out on the interception. There was a lot of opportunities, right? A lot. I mean, simply like defenders turning around, and just looking at the ball. I think the balls were there for picks. Purdy could have thrown 3 or 4 last night. Keep an eye on that. I don't think this is out. I don't know if Purdy's going to get better, or this is like he's just benefiting from the lot of talent around him, and he makes throws at crucial times. Yeah, but it's not like he's tearing it up. And he's made some poor throws against the Rams, and he's did it against the Giants. Got to keep an eye on that he's been benefiting from a very good team around him. Also, the Giants, let's say not even Giants itself. This was one of those games where a lot of people see the scoreboard, but they didn't realize how it was strange. The time of possession was so much in favor of the 49ers, but it was a one-score game for the most part, right? It was just weird. But that's exactly how you do it when you have a good defense like the Giants. They bend, but they didn't break a whole lot. They killed themselves with penalties. I also noticed something else about the 49ers offense. Against a good defense, they have to battle a lot more in that red zone. And if it wasn't for Giant penalties, they don't get into the end zone. So keep that and mark that down too. Also, Giants did not have Thomas, their stud offensive tackle, left tackle, and Saquon Barkley itself. Waller, their tight end. The guy has soft hands, or he can have great games and then he just drops balls, or balls that are, maybe not perfectly thrown, but dude, like your NFL, make the catch, like make it happen. Go get it. And I noticed that too. I think the Giants have a nice pickup there, but that guy, he could have helped his quarterback out last night. 49ers played deep safety against the Giants. I think they saw that against what the Dallas Cowboys did. The Cardinals did it in week 2, played a deep safety, and so everything had to be underneath, which also played into a very not so strong running game for the Giants. So everything was stacked at the line of scrimmage, a lot of pressure, very difficult for Daniel Jones. You know what? I want to give more love to Daniel Jones. You know what? All those haters and weirdos and people like that, Daniel Jones is a ball player. He's a football player, but he's also a pretty good quarterback itself, okay? And he was up against a lot of stress last night. All right, the running game wasn't there. Okay, a lot of blitzes. I mean, they were coming after. It was physical itself. He couldn't get anything downfield. It was very easy, but they found ways. They moved the ball, though. Somehow they found the way, and that's a plus, right? Out of everything that I just mentioned, right? But don't be getting on Daniel Jones. You know what? People were ripping on Daniel Jones, but for some reason, they were giving a lot of love to guys like Justin Fields and Bryce Young and all these guys who haven't done nothing yet, right? And Daniel Jones got to a playoff game last year. So it's just weird how people in the media and others just kind of just roll on things like that. And I'll get back to that in a little bit too, because I'm pretty ticked about some of that stuff. I see a lot of very biased stuff going on in the media. 49ers play. 49ers ground attack is the best in the NFL, and you better be stopping it. That's the one thing I kept saying. You got to stop it. Yes, you stop it, and then, short passes, and you got Debo's, and that's the tough part about it. But you got to play physical. You can't let them get off the line of scrimmage. Too much room. We saw that in the Steeler game against the 49ers. Too much room. Too soft. You got to play them tough and physical. Who can do it? Who has the bodies, the roster, the defense, the cornerbacks to go that route? Okay, wait and see. Giants missed a lot of tackles, but it's hard to bring down some big beast like Samuel, McCaffrey itself, right? I mean, these guys are hard to bring down, even in the tight end itself. It's really, really hard. They're guys that catch the ball, and they're thick and physical, and you can do whatever you can, right? That is a big difference for the 49ers against a lot of teams that go up against them. A couple of more notes about the games. 49ers had the fortunate itself to get ahead. I said, they're such a good team that the league hasn't really, the other teams are still finding themselves. Even the 2-0 teams, like, they're having a good start. But you can see who found themselves. Maybe the Cowboys have found themselves. We'll wait and see. It's only week 2, week 3 of the NFL right now. But we got to find themselves, right? We got to look to see who finds themselves, and it's going to take a couple of more weeks. And we always said the teams that are out of the gates early on are the ones that are really heading toward a playoff, because you get out ahead of the teams who are just playing 500 ball. They're going to be 1-2. Right? There's going to be some teams 0-3. And we're going to get to the record part of slow starts in a second here. And I'm going to bring in our NFL insider, John Turner, about that and much more coming up here in about 30 seconds. All right. So, and one last thing here. Giants, if you're a Giant fan, yes, it's tough that you're 1-2. You've been through a very tough part of your schedule. You're on the road. You didn't play well in 1 week and half of a game. And I think you found yourselves. You've been battling. You've been some beat battles. That is good. That's good to get the rest, because you've already been tested, and now you know who you are. And you definitely can go up. You're not going down. I don't think the Giants are going backwards. I believe they've found themselves, and I think a lot of good things are coming their way. All right, now we're going to bring in John Turner right now, and we're going to talk about these 1-2 starts, these 0-3 potential starts of some NFL teams around the league itself. And my rant was real. I believe everything I said and wrote down about the 49er game and the Giant game. I am a believer of the 49ers. But at the same time, I saw things that I just don't know what team. There are teams out there, but in the NFC that can punch them in the face a bunch. The Giants punched them, and the Niners know it. I don't think the Giants had enough, and they're still like getting to their level of play that they will get there. They're not there yet, but they're close. Now let's get to the 0-3 potential teams and the 1-2 teams, or that are potentially, or like the Giants, and those 0-2 teams that are looking for that win itself. Now, the point of all this, folks, is that football, the NFL, is different. I am tired of looking at no team has made, playoff 0-2. That stuff is BS now. It's over and done. It's changed. The Saints a few years ago did. The Steelers 1-6 and almost made the playoff. It's not the same. You don't want to go 0-2, 0-3, right? But they're counting people out. Like I heard Giant fans and the media, like, the Giants season was saved by beating the Cardinals on the field goal. They were looking at, but they're a good team still. They have talent. They could turn it around. Yes, it's a lot harder. 3 games in the hole like that. But it's been done. It's been happening a lot all over the NFL the last few years. So when you see those stupid stats, that's been like from the 80s and the 90s or whatever in the early 20s. That's done. It's a new era. It's a new stat out there, right? It's not over. And you get that extra game. That's a nice one in your back pocket for a team that's 0-2 or something like that. All right. My rant on that now, follow it up.
The Niners are playing some pretty good football. They are playing some really good football. As far as who can beat them, the Cowboys I think can beat anybody until the month of January,
Okay.
and then they'll beat themselves.
Right.
That's what they do. The Eagles can beat anybody. The Detroit Lions are going to score a lot of points, so they got a great defense in San Francisco. Are they going to be home? Are they going to be away for some of these matchups? They don't come to the East Coast and play too well, so they're going to be vying for that bye week, those home games come late December and January. Just looking at it real quick, I mean, they've got the Cowboys coming up. They've got your guys coming up. That's a division game. Anything goes, as far as that's concerned. Kirk Cousins, a guy, he's leading the league in passings, leading the league in touchdowns. They're 0-2. Mm-hmm. But they'll sneak up and beat you, the Vikings. It won't matter. They'll be 500, but they could beat anybody on any given Sunday.
So the NFL, NFC, it's you're looking for something. We're looking for a team that can be physical. Like the Giants were physical tonight. And I will say this. What I saw tonight, I think the Giants will get better. I'll be surprised unless the injuries are there. That's hard in the NFL. Like the Cowboys got hit hard today with injuries at practice, and that's going to be a problem for them too. But the NFL is hard. You got to have deep rosters and things like that. And, and the Giants, showed it today that they can battle with some star players out. And to me, Niners and Giants in a playoff game, I don't think the Niners want to see them again because the Giants were shorthanded last night. And I think with a healthy, obviously, all the health, they will battle them. They've been to San Fran. I think that's one team. We'll see how it's only like week 3, John. But go ahead, continue.
Well, you keep in mind, Christian McCaffrey has gotten hurt a couple times, and he's still a little guy. He's not Derrick Henry's size, so he could get hurt. Debo got hurt. Purdy, the quarterback, who throws for a very high percentage, not early on in this most recent game against the Giants, but he got hurt, of course. So, and then you're stuck with what? The USC redhead?
That's it.
Oh my God! If they got to put that guy in, didn't he learn how to play on Madden or something like that in his senior year or something going into that year? It's going to be big trouble in Little Chinatown if they got to go to him, to finish up the year, So and then anybody can beat him. I think at that point, if they have to put Christian McCaffrey back at quarterback it again, then it's down goes Frazier. But right now they're playing really good and they're hot. It's early, but Kyle Shanahan has been known to outsmart himself in big games or late in the season. All of a sudden, everything's working, and then he wants to change the playbook up a little bit, tweak things at the absolute wrong time. Ask Tom Brady. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. They haven't won a ring in a pretty long time, and some of that has to do with their history of kind of beating themselves when the moments get tight, when the bright lights are shining with the pretty ladies out and all that. So, we'll see if they can maintain it and stay healthy. But they got a lot of question marks as far as, what the doctor ordered. So
they have a good defense. They have names that will be star names as the year or two from now. Like you're going to get to know them more because they're going to keep winning and they're going to be on national TV. So you're going to know more about their defensive players. I don't believe they get enough credit on defense with their name players. You just hear a boast of this and a boast of that, but there's, and maybe it's just one of those things where they just play disciplined, good football. They're in the right spots. They always seem to be in position. There's something very big you play big when you're like that, because you're not in bad situations. You make tackles. They tackle well too. It's like that defense. I'm going to watch that offensive line. I saw a lot of push by the Giants. I thought the Giants had a great push up the middle. They came from the outside more. There were pressures on Purdy. Purdy just is good on checking down really quick. and not like he's completing the passes, but he's got a good essence to get rid of the ball. And there's always a running back there or a tight end or something. There's always somebody in the flats or something like that. So, but he had pressure. The pocket wasn't comfortable for him. And I'm going to keep an eye on that too. So, all right. So you mentioned the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, if everything stays healthy for them, they were rolling until today. And now we don't know. This is the NFL, folks. You can just roll out everybody who you think is good and everything else until the injury bugs hit your team. There's a lot of teams out there that are battling injuries already around the NFL. The 49ers. Trevon Diggs, torn ACL in practice today. He's out for the year. Done. And that's a big one because, you want somebody who can cover. And he's one of their best ones out there, or the best one on that team. And that hurts the Cowboys big time right there. That hurts them. Who comes in and replaces and steps up? I doubt they'll bring the same level of play. Your thoughts on this? I think this is a big hit for that defense, because when you can cover your wide receivers and give that pass rush a little bit more time, it goes a long way to get to the quarterback, right? Now, go ahead.
Well, it does. You get core players, 5 or 6 of them per team that you're willing to spend big money on and keep and grow the rest of your team, supplement around. Trevon Diggs is one of those guys. 5 years, 150 million.
He just got paid.
Some just got paid.
Paid.
There was a song in the early 90s, Just Got Paid. Great song. But anyway, he just got paid. And now, as Joe Gibbs used to say, different guys got to step up. And boy, oh boy, you've got $30 million this year now sitting on the bench wearing a cast. He's the highest paid cheerleader you got. And that's a tough blow to the defense, tough blow to the defensive coordinator, who's got to figure out, who to plug and play. We got some tough cookies in the division. Like I said, the Giants can score some points. The Eagles, they throw the ball in all these medium and short range ways.
But you do have a defense that can push and punch the Niners a little bit too. That's the one thing I like the Eagles. I think they'll even get better. I don't know about Jalen Hurts. I think he'll at least hold his own. Like a year ago was an MVP kind of year, right? But you're right. The Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, right? Yeah. Yeah.
The thing about the Cowboys is they got Mike McCarthy, and he's built for offense. So they still got Dak. He's healthy. He's playing great. They let go of Ezekiel. The backup's doing just fine. The Pollard, he's playing great. CeeDee Lamb has turned out to be a phenomenal first-round pick for them. Yet a number 88 walks into the Big D and is playing just fine. So they're powerhousing, and right now I think they're going to compete and contend for that bye week. They're gonna challenge the 49ers.
Well, there's one more problem with the Cowboys. They had another loss in practice yesterday. They're starting offensive lineman himself. He's out. Pro Bowler center. The center is no. Well, I don't know if it's official yet, but there's an MRI on his hamstring. I don't know how torn it was. If it's a bad tear, I mean this can last. I believe he can make it back by the end of the year, right? But an MRI. But this is a big blow, because you just mentioned the running game. Good timing, because everything runs around that center. I mean, look at the Niners, how they run their running game up the middle, and that center is crucial for the Cowboys. So they get blown out of practice today with 2 losses from the practice field itself, and that's hard. I mean, that's really hard. Now, try to pronounce his name. Right?
I'm looking at it. Biadasz. Yes.
Bitch. It's almost like saying bitch, but it's bitch.
Yeah,
Biadaza.
this is like a Yugoslavian name or something like that.
Right, but
No,
he got hurt in practice. MRI determined the extent of it, and it when you say MRI, that means it's something a lot more serious than just a tweak, right? So they lose him for a long period of time, or who knows. I mean, where's that running game, right? And we'll have to wait and see what happens. The Niners are going like, this is great. Like they're all gonna be dropping like flies, but the Niners got to make sure they stay healthy. That's all. But anyway, keep going. We got you. Oh,
I mean, luckily for the Cowboys, I mean, they got to play Washington, and there's two great defensive tackles. The Eagles have like 3 or 4 really good defensive tackles. So
and
that
the Giants still too. Yeah.
Yeah, the Giants got some pretty good beef up the middle too. So the NFC East is back in their heyday of big man movers up front. But so that's tough for Dallas. They're still built on speed, long dropbacks. They sneak in some runs. Pollard can run to the outside. Lamb can get open against anybody. Don't they got the guy that's been traded like 10 times in his career on their team? He's got a bunch of speed. Didn't they get him from the Rams?
Yeah, Cooks. Brandon?
Yeah, Cooks. Yeah, this guy's been traded for like 5 different first-round picks throughout the course of his career. It's the craziest thing. It's an anomaly. And he can beat you deep. That's like having Rocket Ismail back there again. So there's ways they can pick you apart and beat you. So I think they're going to figure out a way to plug those dikes and keep it moving. And that's what you got to do, especially when Jerry Jones is your owner. You better figure it out this week.
And they're playing this team right here, the Cardinals. I'll be at the game also. Cardinals and Cowboys in the desert itself. The Cardinals have battled in their first 2 games. They could be 2-0 if things went one more play with their way or something. And you would say, oh, they're the weakest 2-0 team. Well, whatever. But they battled, and now with the 2 injuries to the Cowboys, how does that shake up? And the Giants, the Cardinals are looking to rebound from that embarrassing loss. I like to see how they respond, blowing that big lead against the Giants itself. I think this is a nice character test about the coaching staff and those players to see how they can respond. They may not win this game, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was tight, or was a battle itself. But we'll see what happens. But your take on this too? I think the Cowboys still have enough to win. The Giants showed that the Cardinals tired in the fourth quarter. Washington showed that the Cardinals tired, or just like they were not the better team in the fourth quarter for 2 games in a row. And it really hurt them from, that's why they lost the game. They had leads in Washington. They had leads against the Giants. Fourth quarter, I don't know if it's fatigue or roster depth or whatever it is. And that's where the score gets stretched out. And it's like, the Cardinals got their asses whooped like the Giants did last night. But the body of the work, I think the Cardinals will hang in there. That's my take on it. Your take?
Well, I think they're running the ball well. And that's a good thing. The quarterback, Dobbs, he's not turning the ball over a whole lot. And you've seen this before. Teams hang out, all right, and they get close down there at the end of the game. I mean, they were just 2 points away from going into overtime against Washington. Giants, crazy ending. You keep playing football games like that, they're going to stun somebody. And boy, oh boy, it's the perfect opportunity. Nice home game. You get a team coming in with some question marks, playing great so far, but they can come in and say, "Oh, we can win this game. What's the point spread? Oh, we'll cover that." That's exactly the recipe that the team like the Cardinals could use to just run the Cowboys right off the field. And oh boy, can you see Jerry Jones right now? Early in the fourth quarter, just heading to the limousine, or he'll probably park that yacht in the parking lot in the middle of Arizona, somehow escape on that thing. But big question mark for me, what is the state of mind with Buda Baker? are you guys really talking about trading this guy? You're not
You know,
really gonna do that, are you?
there have been rumors because of his contract's up in 2 years, right? The new regime, the new everything, right? If you don't trade him this year, he's going to walk. I mean, why does he want to stick around unless something magical happens next season and it's his walk year? You know, that's his last year of this contract, right? So the Cardinals have to look at it. The guy is valuable right now. His stock is still good. He's got a little tweaky hamstringy, whatever it is, and he should be back right. You know, I don't know, 3-4 weeks right before the trade deadline. And if it happens, it happens. If not, they can still do it in the offseason if they wanted to. But there's a big contract there. There's money to free up. This is all about rebuild and bringing in what you want, not the Steve Kimes built team. This is going to be, the new guys on the block, and you know how that goes. And it's okay. I know it's hard. It's a gut punch for Cardinal fans for they love him. They love Buddha, right? But for long-term purposes, freeing up money, having a ton of draft picks next year and free agency down the road. And don't forget, you got the Kyler Murray contract that's just going to suck them for a while. I mean, you got to find ways, and it makes sense in a lot of ways too. But guy's the heart and soul of that defense too. So it's a tough 22 for the Cardinal fan base to hear all that. But we'll see. I don't know. If it doesn't happen, and it happens in the off season, it's all good. I get it. I understand it too. So
I look for your guy. Is it Zaven?
Collins. Zaven Collins.
Yeah, Zaven Collins. Wasn't he drafted just a couple picks before or after Micah Parsons?
Yeah, after.
Okay, so he's a really good football player, and I think he remembers that.
Okay. I'm going to say I think he was stoned a few games in his rookie year. I don't know. He looked like he was high coming. Well, and that was my perception. But I've seen people high before, and I went, guy, this is the NFL. Get your ass going. And he just looked lost, maybe because he was lost in his first year. And who was his offensive coordinator? It was Joseph, right? So everybody gets lost in that defense if you're a player, right? And so, but now with the new head coach, the former defensive coordinator for the Eagles Super Bowl run last year, may have be able to get this guy in the right spot and get him motivated. And there's some serious good talent, like physical guys on that Cardinal defense that is allowing him. He is growing into Zaven Collins that you saw in his late in his college years. And that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. So, you must love this guy. I'm waiting for him to have a breakout game, like dominate a game, like a Micah Parsons game, like a TJ Watt game. Like when that happens, and it happens again, he's arrived. Other than that, he's making plays. His nose is on the ball a lot, right? He's doing things, Zaven Collins. But until he starts to wreck some teams, that's what you want. You want a wrecking ball. Every defense needs a wrecking ball, right? Because it goes a long way, right? I mean, so the Niners are waiting for Bosa to get wrecking balling after trying to get his legs back, right? That's what really carries defenses. They come up in big plays. They're big time. They're big players, man. Big time players, impact players, right? They change games, fumbles, turnovers, right? Penalties because you got a double team and pull face masks to stop the dudes, right? I was like, it's crazy how but that's the dude that you want. And Collins is supposed to be that guy. He's young enough to get there, and we'll wait and see. But see, you bring that up, and I got to go off on it.
I like him. I think he's primed and ready, and I think. Like I said, I just think when you're standing across the other side of the field from a guy that they went toe-to-toe in college. They were just as good as each other in college. I mean, Micah lands on the Cowboys, who his rookie season, they had a pretty good defensive line in front of him, and that allowed him to kind of learn the pro game a little easier. You know what I mean? I don't know that Zaven had that same identical opportunity, right? So he's had to kind of be a little more creative. And different coaching, different play calling, you know what I mean? There's a lot of factors. You can be a great player and go into a bad system and disappear. So I think he's going to be amped up for this game. Could make a play or two to make a difference.
Yeah, you know what? He's gotten some turnovers, interceptions, and fumbles. Like he's from a year ago and this season, like you can see that this guy, and you saw him against Washington. He was a big player in that Washington game. I don't know where he was in the Giant game in the second half, but but you never know what happens against the Cowboys, and they're going to get amped up. It's probably going to be about 60% Cowboy fans in there because the Cardinal fans are selling off. Like they don't see playoffs, they don't care, and they're going to take that money. They sold it to Giant fans last week. That was like a high school game last week. Like the Giant fans are on one side and the Cardinal fans, and they should do that little cheer, back and forth. They do at high school games. It was fun. I kind of liked it, even though it was a Giant, a Cardinal home game, and the fans didn't like it, and they're all upset because they're selling tickets. Well, win, and it doesn't happen, right? And this is not New York, and there's deeper like passion, right? This is not Washington with a deeper passion. These Chicago, these fans are like deep into decades and decades, and you would think the Cardinal, but it's not. I always have to get this to the Cardinal fans. You live in Arizona. It's really nice to be outdoors, especially during football season. Okay. The Dolphins in their undefeated season and their Super Bowl runs back then in the 70s couldn't sell out the Orange Bowl, right? Look what went on in San Diego. If they weren't winning, you got a ticket cheap to go see the Chargers in San Diego, and still now in LA. Even the Rams, even the Rams, when they got to 2 Super Bowls and winning one, like you can still get a ticket, right? It wasn't like, unless a Ram fan sold it, but when you go into Giant Stadium, yeah, there's a couple of fans from the other team, right? And you hear them, right? You go to Pittsburgh, there's still, but it's dominance. There's a loyalty. There's a waiting list to get a season ticket, a waiting list. So let's put that in perspective on Sunday when the Cowboys come in with the bandwagoners, the bravado. There's probably going to be a bunch of fights because Arizona fans are not going to a little couple of beers here and there. It could get stupid because I've seen it before, and I hope not. I really hope not. Everybody keeps their peace, but Cowboy fans, when they start winning, they start bragging, and they can't stop themselves. Like they just cannot stop themselves. I have a T-shirt which says I root for 31 teams or something, like I don't know what it was, and the Redskins, or I don't, but it was like not the Cowboys. Like I will root for anybody but the Cowboys. But it was a Redskin T-shirt. I still have it buried somewhere, and I love it because now it's no longer the Redskins. But that's because the fans are. Cowboy fans are probably the most arrogant fans out there, and they've won, and they can prove that but grow up. You haven't won anything since the early 90s, right? I mean, you got knocked out by the Cardinals and ended your reign, and the Tony Romo fumble snap, right? You get to the playoffs, and your guy fumbles out the 1 yard line against the Packers, and you're all worried and crying still today about that, right? And then you're crying, like you're just hanging and crying on everything until you win. Then we'll shut up, but we're not shutting up. And if you lose to the Cardinals, you're gonna get ripped Monday morning. Ripped. Okay. You're from the Washington, the Maryland area, the whole area. You must not like a Cowboy fan, I guess.
Well, there's a lot of Cowboys fans in Washington, D.C. I mean, there's Pittsburgh fans everywhere. You can go to Rome and go to a Steelers bar. So they're pretty arrogant as well. I'm sure your buddy Mancini, he'll tell you all about that. It's pretty bad. Cowboys fans are everywhere. Okay, you can move to any state, any city, and you're going to find a lot of Cowboys fans and Steelers fans. They never, ever shut up, especially right now. They're 2-0. You might as well just start. According to them, they're booking their Super Bowl tickets, booking hotel rooms right now, setting up Uber rides so they can get around during what is the press party all week long? I can't even remember what it's called right now.
It's okay.
The week long thing that the press has. It's like the Comic Con of the press. The week leading up to the Super Bowl.
Oh, now you screwed me up.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where they get all
Media
the
day,
yeah,
media day,
yeah,
the
yeah,
media days, things
the
like that.
whole
Yeah,
the whole week. But anyway,
media week now. I guess I don't know.
Radio Row. Thank
Radio
you.
Rose. Okay, I get it.
So anyway, they're setting up Uber rides to get through Radio Row all week already. You know what I mean? You can't get them to shut up. According to them, they've got 10 Hall
But
of Famers on
what do they? What do they got to do? What do the Cardinals got to do to take advantage? Blitz packages up the middle, test that center out a little bit. Do they have to go after that part of the middle of the field and stuff that run and put the ball back into Dak's hand and force some third and longs? And also, attacking that cornerback. Newsome Diggs is out, and you got to see what's out there. You got to test it. And what the Cardinals have done very well is they've gotten guys open with the tight ends, both tight ends, McBride and Ertz underneath, and they've been open. They haven't taken a whole lot of shots downfield, but I think you should try, especially since you have a backup in there replacing Diggs. These are things that we're looking at, and run the ball. Don't just think Dobbs is going to just sling it everywhere. He had a great first half, probably his career. It was a career half for that guy, and maybe he's finding himself. He's never gotten so many opportunities before, and he deserves the opportunity. Actually, he really does. And he showed he can do it, and he understands the system, and he didn't turn the ball over. He was pretty clean, and he's got to do it again. And I got to see how he handles that pressure. I got to see how the Cardinals offensive line holds that pressure. Can they keep that defense honest? We'll see what happens. But I would attack the middle of the offensive line of this Cowboys right away. Stuff it, and put some pressure on Dak. Get him out of the pocket too. Flush him out if they can do that, and then attack that backup cornerback. You can piggyback that, or is there something else that you think the Cardinals need to do? And then we'll move on. I got a lot of NFL stuff.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, smart coaches, good coaches attack the immediate weakness, especially injury. It's an emotional blow, a physical blow to the team when you lose a guy and you got to put his backup in there. If you immediately attack it, and also, with that being said, smart coaches, on the other hand, if Mike McCarthy's smart, he's going to help chip that guy in front of the center with a guard or somebody else. He's going to, do some slide blocking, get the guys moving to help bring confidence to his new centers. But if he doesn't, and you guys decide to bring the heat, Arizona does, and the Cowboys aren't ready for it, they're going to pay the iron price. And then we could be looking at another stretch without Dak. And oh boy, would the tower come crumbling down if they lose their quarterback and they got to go with who? Some USFL guy or who is their guy? DiNucci or what? Who? I don't even know who their backup is right now. Is it John Kitna again? I don't know. But anyway.
It's not going to be the same. That's what it is. And
it's not going to be the same. And Mike McCarthy is going to be answering awfully hard questions. And he looks so depressed when he's faced with those. So, yeah, I suggest Arizona bring the heat. I'm pretty sure they will. As far as attacking that empty spot that's going to be used by somebody in the secondary, you got a lot of speed at the wide receiver position. I'd utilize it. Get this back up, get him moving outside the pocket, and sling it down there. That's what you traded for that guy.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Marquise Brown can get matched up against that backup, right? And create some problems there too, and maybe even flush out and open up on the underneath stuff, because you put that in their head that they're going to keep taking shots downfield, right? You may have to use the safety over the top, to protect that guy. If you start picking on them and the Cardinals are gaining some yardage on that area of the field with that backup, you would think, all right. And then you can flush out one side of the field, and then here comes the underneath stuff. And then there's the Zach Ertz of the worlds and McBride's, the tight ends, right? Or the running back out of the backfield. I mean, there's so many things that can happen, but you got to establish that and see if you can make it work, and see what the Cowboys are going to do, right? Like see how they're going to overreact or react to those kind of things. All right, we're going to shift gears and get to other NFL stuff. Some of it's fun, some of it's funny, some of it is like it'll maybe tick you off. Again, that's okay. We just want you to be passionate and emotional about it too. It is just football. But before we get there, if you want to go to the big games or any NFL game or college game or concerts, anything like, check it out right here. P2P Ticks, safe and secure, money back guaranteed itself. It's direct, person to person. All you got to do is get on it, get the app itself, and go get your tickets. So somebody's trying to sell it, some fans trying to sell it, maybe a Cardinal fans trying to sell their tickets to the Cowboy game. All right, then you want looking for 1 or 2 tickets, whatever it is, get on it. It's nationwide, North American wide itself, North America wide itself, with the World Cup coming up soon, and whatever, a year or two away, right? P2